All right, so this is the way we're going to go about challenging one another with our beliefs. We're going to let each person say why they don't think why that person's belief of who the blame is that blame. And then that person will have a chance at the end of the three of those give a rebuttal. Is that understood? So we'll start with me because I said it was the church. You guys will say why y'all don't believe it is the church, and then I'll give my rebuttal at the end, and that'll be it. And that way we can keep it organized. Is that understood?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
All right, so I said it was the church. Why don't y'all think that it's the church?
Well, I'll take this one. The reason why I don't feel like it's the church, because the church is, it's supposed to be a religious sanctuary, true enough, but it's a business. And it's not every church that is a Fortune 500 company, as you stated. At the same time, you're not even going to church for, you know what I'm saying, for the actual benefit of being rich or whatever the case may be. You're supposed to be going to church to serve the Lord. Now, what those people decide they want to do with the money, that's something they got to take up with the Lord. So that's why I don't think the church really have anything, it really have much to do with it. Because the same people that's in the church are the same ones that's raising our kids. Or that have kids of their own that are raising.
Kevin or Watsu. And if you don't have something, you don't have to make up something to say. But if you have something to argue against. Kevin or Watsu.
I don't think I have something.
Kevin?
I just don't agree with it being the church, because you go to church to hear the word, to worship God. That doesn't have anything to do with the effects of things. I think you should leave that on the preacher, who's making all the money, because when you go to church, you're not getting money. You're just there to hear the word. So that's why I feel it's not the church.
So, in my belief of the church and in my raising of the church and knowing that the church is made of the people, and in church they teach you one basic fundamental thing. An interpretation of the Bible is where we go off into where churches offend people and don't offend people. But if we go upon what the church is built on, and it's built on the Word of God, it says that we are to love one another. We are to take care of one another. So, for instance, you have a family who has one parent taking care of multiple children. The community, which is inside of the church, should be trying to assist that parent and to help raise that child. Because as we know, the old African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. I think that the church has taken its community out of church. And we have lost that sense of what it does, of what it is to take care of one another. Yes, we can do that without church. But church, that is one of your main things, objectives, and goals for you for us to reach out to others and bring them into a fold and make sure not only that their soul is protected, but that they are well taken care of as a whole. If you think about the things that the church used to do, like Kevin, you said you haven't been to church in 2 years. You probably haven't been to church in 2 years. Something turned you off about church. And yes, it's supposed to be there for your soul, but if church is doing it right, then they should be able to watch out for the holistic person. The single person, the rich person, the poor person, the single person, the married person, you know what I'm saying? The gay person, the straight person. They should be able to bring them all in together. And that's what they're not doing anymore. So I don't blame you for not going to church. I blame the church for not trying to reach out to you and say, Kevin, you ain't been here in 2 years. Come holler at us. Let us know what we did wrong to push you away. And so now we stop losing this thing where we're trying to shape and form people to do good in the hood and just do good, period, because that's the right thing to do. And ultimately we have a goal, which is heaven. And that's another whole level. But we lost that. We don't do that. We stop ministering to one another. And those who do minister, they hurt folks' feelings by doing things that are detrimental and calling you names or saying you going to hell for this. That's not the way you reach people, and that's not the way you make change. So that's my rebuttal. I think you wanted to say something, Kevin?
That's fine, but I still don't look at that and say I blame the church for it, because everybody does not believe in going to church every Sunday, or there are all types of different religions, and it's just a lot of things have changed from the way they used to be from a long time ago to today. It's just a whole.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. The problem is it's changed, and in its change, the church has lost. Would you agree with that? In the change of church, they've lost.
Yeah, but there are all types of ways for the church to reach out to people besides, I mean, they can like email, they can do things on a computer. There are all types of ways that the church can reach out.
What you're doing is you're proving my point because they have it, and that's why I'm blaming them.
Well, wouldn't that be that would be like specific because my church do it. And we 3,000 members strong.
Your church is in Augusta, Georgia.
So wouldn't that just be individually?
Your church is in Augusta, Georgia, and I'm sure your church is doing a great job. And I'm not speaking of churches that do a great job, but it's not more churches that are doing good than there are more churches that are not doing at all. Your one church.
You would have to go to each individual church to find that out. That's kind of a statement that you really can't make if you haven't been to all the churches. I mean, the church is there for people to go to hear the word. If Kevin don't want to go to church, I don't think that's the church's fault. Kevin just don't want to go. I mean, and if somebody, say for instance, somebody who's atheist and don't even believe in God, the church ain't gonna get him in there. If the church came and knocked on the door like them Jehovah's Witnesses, they gonna slam the door in their face like on Friday.
And that's wonderful, and that's all fine and good. But what the church believes in, again, and I'm going back to the Bible because the Bible is what the church. No matter what we worship and how we worship, we all go back to the Bible. That's what, and I'm talking about the Christianity belief. I'm not talking about, anything outside of Christianity. And inside Christianity, that's your Baptist, your Kojic, whatever it may consist of. But in the Bible, it says for the disciples to go out, ye therefore into the nations. That's what we're supposed to do. So, right, Kevin may not come, but we're supposed to go to Kevin. That's what it says. And that's what we're supposed to do. And we haven't done it.
Even if the church came to me and I decided to go to church, it still doesn't.
But then the church has done what it's doing, and I don't have to blame it. We aren't doing it though. We aren't.
But what if you were? And I just decided not to. Like, okay, I could be anywhere in town, and people come up to me and hand me flyers, hand me pamphlets. Oh, come out, check our church out. Do this, do that, But what if I decide just not to go?
Well, and then that's on you. But more often than not, Kevin, we're not doing it as a whole, and that's what I'm saying. Now, hold on. I don't want us to spend too much time on church because we got 3 other ones. That's why I said we can go real deep with this. But I think you were next in going with the media, so let's try to switch it real quick because I don't want us to get lost in the sauce. So let's go to media and talk about why us 3 don't believe it's the media. Why? So you've been kind of quiet. What do you think about the media? Let's bring you in real quick.
As far as the media, to some extent I do believe it, but just to play devil's advocate, I think you can't completely blame the media for it. I mean, the media puts out what people want. So if you do not want sex and violence and all types of debauchery that the media presents, then you don't have to watch it.
You don't.
And or you don't have to read it or hear it. So it's up to you whether or not you want to accept it or reject it. And that's why I say I blame self.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to. I can't necessarily say I blame the media. I mean, because the media is just that. It's there for entertainment purposes only. And if you feed into that thing that's called entertainment, then you're gonna get the results that we've been getting for the last, I don't know, however many years. Like for instance, the whole Tiger Woods thing. Of course, the media blown that out. Tiger Woods is not the first man that cheated on his wife. He's not the first billionaire that cheated on his wife. But because he's Tiger Woods, they blew it all out of proportion. So I think that if somebody was there, like say for instance, when you look at these rap videos and you got the monies, the cars, the girls, and all this and the third, you have these kids that are looking at all these things, and when they grow up, they want to be 50 Cent. They don't have a lot of people telling them that 50 Cent is probably one in 500,000. You may never be 50 Cent. So maybe you should have a plan A and a half. If that makes sense.